Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Opening Bell. Well, the market looks like it wasn't overly impressed with the data, pardon me, that came out about 30 minutes ago. We had this swath of data, including the PPI, and the market had been up 8, 10 points here. Hang on just a second. If you look at the futures, and hold on just a second here. There it is. Okay, so if we look at just what the futures were doing, um, they were up about 8 or 10 points, and then after the the news came out there, 7:30, we took a dive. There it is. Finally, I got it here. But now it's trying to stabilize itself. Today, there is an extremely large amount of options that are expiring. And So that can have some effect. I was thinking about that. Most options bought in the market now are calls. We've been talking a lot about that this week, and that's causing call calendars to look even more favorable to the upside. Um, but I was thinking, if you sold mainly calls, you may want to keep the market under a certain level, right? So those calls expire worthless. So I don't know. This is just the thumbnail sketch of what I'm thinking, but I think maybe we could go down off of that. But I do expect volatility today because it'll probably be a little bit of a fight, right? With people trying to drive up so their calls are in the money, large houses. I'm not talking about individual investors. You could It'd be nice, but you can't really move the market. But the And then others might be short trying to drive it down. So should be an interesting day in the market. Now, um, I'm going to talk about the VIX a little bit here too. And then we're going to talk about the news and the VIX. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. We're kind of mid-range where we've been. And if you really think the down swath is coming, of course, I've talked to you guys about things you could do over in the VIX, including some sort of like month out or more um, VIX call verticals, different whatever width you want to do, whatever amount of money you want to spend. But if you do one of these, make sure that if we do get that pop, let's say you did it today because you think next week's going to be a tough sledding, and maybe it is. And then maybe on Monday we get up here point and a half higher or more. Just take the money, whatever you made, take it, because we could easily go right back down. If you look at the chart, you know that. I can't, I guess, harp on that enough, but that is something you definitely need to be thinking about. Yeah, it really wasn't on. I just now got my chat up. Yeah, Dave, it wasn't much on the futures movement. Uh, yeah, that's why they lean long, David, is because the calls, everybody wants them. So you're getting, I think, better pricing, and that's why they're leaning that way over the last couple months. And I know David was with me for a while here, and a year ago it wasn't like that, was it, Dave? And now you do see that. Um, okay, I think I have to stop. I'm going to bring up this calendar. I want to talk a little bit about next week, and then we'll get over to the SPX. Share my screen. Hang on. Okay, so if we just look, you can see all this data came out today. Look at all that. And we still have right now, I guess about any time now, we're going to have the Fed vice chair speaking. These times are Eastern. And then the San Francisco Fed president, she's speaking. It'll be a little after noon Eastern, a little after 11 Central. And next week, though, remember Monday we're closed, so there won't be any opening bell or trader songs or anything on Monday. But on Tuesday we're right back at it, and we just don't have all that much in the way of news till Wednesday. You get the Fed minutes from the meeting 2 weeks before, and that could have an effect. We'll see between that and a Fed speaker. We probably get a little action on Wednesday, and then some more jobless claims and Fed speakers on Thursday, and nothing on Friday. How about that? So let's go back over here and I'll share my screen again. All right. And I think I had another chat, or did somebody else say something? Let's see. Yeah, the grass used to be flat when you'd set up in the past. Yeah, yeah, they did. All right. So you can see the SPX made another run trying to get up here. I don't know what it's going to do today. It's a little weaker at the moment. You know, it wants to bang through 50-50. I don't know if today's going to be the day or not. I could see where it wouldn't be. Maybe a pause, 3-day weekend, and then we'll reevaluate next week. That wouldn't surprise me. And so let's talk about a few things over here in SPX. Now, I think anybody who's been around here this week, or certainly from knowing me from before, knows I don't like to put on new non-directional trades on a Friday normally. That's even more so probably on a Friday with a 3-day weekend because of the amount of volatility manipulation that goes on. A lot of the market makers can draw down the volatility and then they put it right back in Tuesday. If you go back, and I know one of the attendees I had in the past did a thing about it, and it was a large percentage of the time volatility between Friday and Monday. It goes up on Mondays. I'm not talking about necessarily a lot, but it does go back and you can really see that happening. So the problem is if you buy something today and then they put that volatility back in on Monday, you could have probably bought it for, or Tuesday, probably bought it for a similar price. Maybe sometimes I've seen it be cheaper on Monday. And the only way that's not true is if there's a huge movement. Once again, in a flyer or calendar, you don't really want that, do you? So you're kind of giving the weekend risk for free. That's what you're doing. You're taking a weekend risk for free. So I wouldn't do it. I'm going to show you some trade ideas. If you want to say, I'll take a chance or whatever, that's fine. So let's take a look at some. Well, first off, we have the calendar. And here I have it modeled about 20 points below where we're trading. You don't have to go that far. You could go, 10 points or whatever, maybe try the 50-20. But the idea is we've been talking about, if you use a call calendar, you're still flat to the top. Now, if we do have that pullback, it really, this is basically normal what would happen. Usually in a calendar, you have this fade off here and up here, but because of how calls are being priced right now, most of your risk is on the downside, but still a completely tradable trade that you can adjust and things if it's down here. And then how close you get under the money is kind of up to you. How much room do you want? More room to the upside? Are you comfortable with your downside? So that's something you could consider. I went out, by the way, not just the next week, but 2 weeks to March 1st. I went 4 days wide. I just thought that made more sense than putting one on a Friday for a holiday weekend if you're going to do something at all. I'm sorry, folks. I am struggling with my voice today. But anyway, so that is an idea. Dr. Fremel says, yesterday you said your profit target is 8%. Is that 8% of the debit or max profit? No, it'd be 8 to 10% of whatever you paid for the trade, debit or debit and credit, whatever, the combination. So yeah, the amount of money that was taken out of your account to do that trade, that is the percentage. So if I put on a $500 calendar, say this $5,800 or $5 basically calendar, I want to get 50, $60 per contract. With calls count being flatter than puts, are you also using calls for adjustments? Yes, I do use calls for adjustments. You can also, though, if you say, hey, I don't need the upside room, you can use puts for an adjustment because see, the put ones are cheaper. So let's say we went down and you go, I'm not too fearful of a rebound. Well, use puts as an adjustment, and that's perfectly fine. And you could up here too. If we ran up here and you thought we're out of gas, but you need to protect yourself, you could use puts as your adjustment calendar. Absolutely. You don't consider returns on the required margin. I consider whatever they take out of your account is what you've spent, right? If I have $1,000 in my account and I buy this calendar for $5, $500, I'm really looking for the percentage of what I made on what I actually had to have held out of pocket. What did I have, invested, or however you want to put that word? And that's how I look at it. I wouldn't want to put on necessarily a $5 calendar and trying to get 10% of my whole account, right? If my account was 1,000, I only have 500 at work. I'm not expecting to get 10% on the whole account at that point, just what I have working. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it doesn't, clarify it a little better for me. Sometimes I'm slow on the uptake. All right. So another idea is the diagonal. We've talked about that. And with a diagonal, if you want to be bearish, I use the put diagonal. I go up maybe 20, 30 points above what we're trading. And then you buy your long and sell the short 10 points lower. So you could easily do this 60, 50 or 40, 50, whatever your flavor is that you want to do. Now, remember, the further up here you are, the less money you make down here if we do go down. But you could look at this as more of an insurance policy than anything. That's another idea. Juliano or Giuliano. Giuliano, I'm going to go with the J. If it's the H, let me know. So Giuliano. Hi, Mark. What is the max total BP that you would use for your strategies? Are you talking about, well, that depends on how well you know the strategies. Let's say you know calendars, flies very well, and you want to just trade calendars and flies for an option income. For myself, I would probably, in times, where the market was relatively stable, I might use, 50, 60% of the money that I have in the account on these trades, maybe even a little more at times. That's how I look at it overall. But obviously that has a ton to do with skill level and what the market's doing. You wouldn't want to put that amount of money in if, we're up over 20 in the VIX a lot of times, or, some real unstable event comes into the market. When trading SPY flies, what wing widths are you using? I've looked at 8 from the downside, 7 from the upside. Are you looking for minimum VIX before putting on flies? Well, I don't like to put on flies for sure below 13 on the VIX. So I think you could start doing them in here. I think they look more attractive as the VIX gets higher. And if I was setting up SPY flies, I normally do 6 on the upside, 7 on the downside lead. Although I think you probably could do that 8 and 7. It just costs you a little more, but give you a little more room. But whenever you get near your points where you're down money, you'd be down a little more with that wider fly, but it's okay to do it. Not the whole account, but usually each trade with counters or butterflies, whether debit or credit, has required BP. Absolutely. And whatever the buying power reduction is, and then sometimes they have that, they call it the margin of buying power. Here, I'll give you an example. All right, this trade here, I'm going to talk more about it, but it gives us an example. So this trade would cost you $1,500 in margin, BP effect. However, you would take in a credit of $90. Well, it's bouncing around, but it was 90. So actually, you'd have about $1,400 taken out of your account. 1,500 less the debit or the credit, excuse me. 1,500 less the credit. So really, you'd have about $1,400 if you say the credit was $1. You'd have 1,400. I'd try to get 10%, 8 to 10% of that $1,400. Does that make sense, Victoria? Okay. And then sometimes, although I don't do them, there are trades like certain double diagonals. If you do them with the shorts closer to the money, you can have a situation where you have BP effect and a debit, not a credit. So that can happen. And that doesn't mean the trade can't work. It's just the way it's set up, and we just want to keep account of what we actually have in that trade. So while I'm on this topic, oh man, there went the pre-market. Oh, that's disappointing. That was the fly I wanted to talk about there. But with this pre-market, sometimes 15, 20 minutes before it starts, the charts go haywire. Makes this difficult. That's what's handy about the Traders Lounge. It's always in the afternoon. But basically speaking, what you could do, yeah, that credit would be great, wouldn't it, Dave? What I had set up here was a trade where I went out 2 weeks and put it at the money, the center, and then I went up 60 points for the top, but only 45 for the bottom. And what that did was give us, this was above zero all the way down, the bottom leg. And then you're in a fly structure up here, bottom leg all the way down. It's kind of a way of doing a fly, but you also don't have to sweat bullets if we do get a big down day. So when you bring, you could do this with puts also, by the way. But if you do something like that where your upside is further away and you really bring that downside in snug, you could bring it in different amounts, kind of experiment it with yourself. But just, take note of these strikes and play around with it on your analyze page when the market's open. March 15th, 50-30 center on the call, 50-90 top, and 49.85 bottom. And just start looking around at that. I think you'll find that kind of interesting. And it's something that we'll be talking more about starting next week, obviously. Or not starting, continuing, and even more about. I hadn't really covered this kind of fly. I was going to do it here, but we'll have to do it next week because of these charts. Anyway, the other thing was, okay, I had the counter to diagonal to fly. That was my idea. The only other fly I think you could even entertain today if you wanted to, you could do something like this where you're covered. I like that idea. Or if you just, want to do a balance fly, you can certainly do that. And then you're just making money, on the downside. Also, as it goes down, you start out with some short deltas. William Dawson says, with all future sessions being recorded, will all? Yes, they are, William. They're in the library on the site. No, I understand that totally. 5 a.m. is early. They're in the library tab on the site. And also, currently, if you go to the sales page, just for my stuff here, joining the opening bell, but if you go to that page where you can go if you want to sign up, because starting on Tuesday, you have to be paid to be in the opening bell, the Traders Lounge, also have a trade alert service, but that all starts next week. But if you go to this site, you can also see the recordings that have happened this week. They're listed about in the middle of the page. Let's see. Maybe I can bring that up. Okay, yeah, hang on. I'm going to share my screen. Because that comes up a lot, and I understand it because people want to watch it later. But if you go to that link I just showed you, and you go down a little bit, it starts up here with that ugly mug. I need to change that thing. Anyway, here you can watch all the recordings from this week. Now in the future, they'll all be on the website along the library tab. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can get that brought up. Just a sec. And I'll reshare. All right. I'm working on it. Believe me. All right, here we go. Boom. Okay. So another thing you can do, when you log into the Aramer site, right here, you hit the library, and the recordings are in there once this decides to open. It's not opening at the moment. How about that? Well, there it is. But you can see different recordings, opening bells, whatever. They're all there on the site. All right. I hope that helps. Yeah, Tom showed me all that stuff yesterday or the day before, whatever. Okay. So any other questions there? Let me look at the chat. There it is. Do you see the sales page? The link's right above it, Luann. Right above your name. Do you see it? Or I can post it again. Here it is again. You can go to that link. It'll take you right to that page I just brought up. Any trouble, let me know. All right. So yes, next week we'll begin being paid. You can join up there. You should get an email about 30 minutes before every session that I'm doing, and I believe the day before at some point. If you have trouble with any of that, email tom@arimer.com. And next week, beginning on Tuesday, I have my trading signal service where if you join up, you'll get a text whenever I am looking at a trade. It'll simply say, hey, I'm looking at doing this calendar. I'm going to send it out. And then a little bit after that, so you guys can get it. Then I'm going to try to enter it myself. I'm not going to front run you. And I'll put everything I do when I get filled. I'm going to probably just copy and paste it from Thinkorswim. For this trading service, I'm probably mainly going to do things that are 1 or 2 contracts, 4 contracts at the most. There will be one trade that you will be put out a week. Maybe once in a while, there might be more than one, but generally there'll be one. It'll most likely be a calendar, a fly, or a diagonal, or doubles of those. And you can follow with me all the way through. When I'm going to adjust it, I'll text you that I'm adjusting it. And when I'm going to close it, I can also send notes along the way. Certain days I might just say, hey, looking good here. Hey, if it gets much higher, be ready. We might have to adjust. Just maybe a note here and there on a daily basis I might send you. But the main core of the thing is, of course, I send you the trade, any adjustments in the trade, a plan, of course, what I'm looking for, and when I'm going to close it, or when I close it. Okay. Now, I do like to put on usually these types of trades. I like to put on new ones normally in the last 2 or 3 hours of a market day, so you don't have as much of a chance of a run against you the first day. So that's when they'll probably come out, the last 2 or 3 hours of the market day. It could be Tuesday. It won't be Monday. We're closed. Could be Tuesday. I mean, we'll see how the day goes. But if we have a haywire day Tuesday, like we're down a whole bunch or something, I might not put one on. So keep that in mind. It might be Wednesday or something. But we'll get one on next week and begin following along for your education. You can do it paper, of course. Don't do anything that's not right for you and your portfolio and skill level. All right, hang on a minute. I'll give you my email. Oh, let's see. I got all my links here, so I can do this much easier now when people ask me for things. Here's my email address. By the way, you can use that email address. If you ever want one-on-one mentoring with me, then use that email address to contact me directly. And you can get one-on-one mentoring. That's just you and I in a Zoom meeting a Zoom meeting room, and dial things into you specifically. We can talk about your individual goals, of course, in privacy and everything. Those sessions can be recorded by you, and you can keep them. And I can show you all the different trades, adjustments, and really dial the plan in for you. That's one-on-one mentoring. Contact me directly if you're interested in that. Will you be doing any workshops on specifics of your counters and flags for those who want to learn the mechanics? Yeah, I plan on doing workshops, Todd. And I also planning on doing some like recorded things. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a deep dive, updated course on my all put flat fly. That course will probably be an hour or more in length. I think the last time I did one was about 120 minutes, but I haven't done one in years. So I really need to do an updated one. So if you see one out on the net, it's old, right? And I'm not saying that a lot of it's not still accurate. A lot of it probably is. But there are new things about it that I want to go over. So I'm going to do a new one. And I'll probably do it for other things too, like calendars, and I may even do, courses that include goal setting and stuff like that. But yes, I have plans to do that. I've just been busy getting this up and running this week. So either next week or the week after, I'm hoping to record the all put flat fly update deep dive. Okay. Any other questions, folks? Sorry about the charts going haywire on us. Although this one here, that looks almost normal. Let's see if we can pull off what I did earlier and have it look right. Nope, won't let me do it. Doggone it. Okay, well, we tried. You got the email there? Remember, I think who asked for that? Somebody asked for it, but there it is, Luann. So hopefully she's got it there. You got the link page to join my opening bell. Oops, that's the wrong one. That's my email twice on there now. Let me do that one more time. Oh, two more links. All right. One is the opening bell traders, what do you call that? Trading lounge and my signal service all adhere to area opening bell. And hey, I'd like everybody to join my YouTube page. I'm trying to grow that thing. I've been in it, I don't know, 7 months, 6 months. And we got it up over 1,100 now. But what I do with the YouTube is I post usually once a week on a weekend and talk about the week ahead, show a trade idea. I won't be going, I don't get in the nuts and bolts of trades on there. I save that for people like you who've paid to be here. Um, and but it's just an overview, and this for me, it's a way to get out there and show people what I'm doing, right? And market essentially for myself. Um, and that'll be one of those will probably be coming out later today, because I am going to talk about next week being when I'm starting this new thing and you have to pay. I might even throw a trade idea in there. And so this week's I'm going to do one today, and it might be the only one I do till next week. So what comes out today might be it. There's a chance I might do one more over the weekend on YouTube, but probably just today. And that'll be that. And remember, we're closed on Monday. Okay, thanks, Lee. And thank you, Luann. All right. Well, folks, I've really enjoyed meeting with you this week, getting to know a lot of you, seeing what you guys are about. I hope you've enjoyed finding out a little bit more about what I'm about and what I do. And I hope to see you guys here next week on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's a 3-dayer for some. Depends. If you have to work Monday, you still have Saturday and Sunday, hopefully. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Bye bye.